Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. We begin tonight in Fort Chipewyan, where residents gathered at a community hall to hear about an ongoing tailings pond leak. It started in May 2022 after a dam overflowed and industrial wastewater with high levels of arsenic, iron, and hydrocarbons had leaked into the surrounding area. APTN's Danielle Parody is in Fort Chipewyan and has more. Danielle, what's the latest?
Imperial Oil's attempt to calm the concerns of Fort Chipewyan residents about a tailings pond leak fell flat Wednesday evening at a town hall meeting. Imperial executives came to Fort Chipewyan to answer questions about the 5.4 million litre spill and about the ongoing seepage from the tailings pond that could leak into the nearby Firebag River. There were more than 80 people in attendance, a large turnout for a community of less than 1,000 people. But things got off to a shaky start. The company lost the tobacco it meant to offer for prayer. And the town hall began without a land acknowledgement, something several people pointed out. Residents then expressed frustration that 9 months had passed without being notified of the leaks, during which time they harvested food and drank the water. Elders at the community spoke about the importance of water to their people and their traditional way of life. Imperial Oil has said that their testing is showing no contamination to the surrounding area, something First Nations monitors are working to confirm. After the meeting, residents who spoke to APTN said that they were leaving without the confidence that there was no issue with the water they use daily.
We're burying people every few months. Every second person is with a rare cancer. They never gave us answers besides, yes, it's in the water, yes, it's in the air, yes, it's in all your traditional foods. So if this keeps up, we're probably going to be the first oil sands environmental refugees.
We will have more on this story on tomorrow's APTN National News. Back to you, Dennis.
Thanks, and you can read much more on this story on our website, aptnnews.ca. To the West Coast now, where a fish farm company in BC is challenging the federal government, who do not want to renew the licenses of open net farms off the coast of Vancouver Island. APTN's Lee Wilson reports.
Mowi's application in federal court in Vancouver seeks an order to set aside Fisheries and Oceans Canada Minister Joyce Murray's decision to shut down the company's 11 open net salmon farms located off the Discovery Coast. It asked the court to have the matter referred back to Murray and declare the minister's February decision unreasonable, invalid, and unlawful. The federal government has not responded to the application. Last month, Minister Murray said there was uncertainty over the risk farms posed to wild salmon, and the government was committed to transitioning away from open net farms. The Atlantic salmon farms off BC's coast have faced stiff opposition from environmental groups and some First Nations saying the farms are linked to disease that transfer to wild salmon, while industry, local politicians, and other First Nations say they are safe and the closures threaten thousands of jobs. Mowi's application says before the decision to shut down farms in the Discovery Island region, they had 645 employees in BC, a significant number were Indigenous. Since the federal government prohibited them, their workforce is 312 employees. Lee Wilson, APTN National News, Kitimat.
Dozens turned out in Whitehorse yesterday to walk in solidarity for those impacted by the opioid crisis. The walk was organized by the Council of Yukon First Nations. Supporters marched from the Whitehorse RCMP detachment to the Kwalendon Cultural Centre. Organizers say the walk was held to show support in light of recent tragedies related to opioids and addictions. Last year, opioids were involved in 20 deaths that took place in the territory.
We give thanks for the strength that we have to be here today, to raise awareness, as our Grand Chief has said, to raise awareness about the crisis that we are in, and to bring about change that's going to help our people, help our young people to continue to be strong and to feel safe in this city.
To Ottawa now, NDP MP Blake Desjardins challenged the Trudeau government Thursday over the issue of students who went to the Île La Crosse residential school, an institution run by the province of Saskatchewan and not the federal government. Desjardins asked when students will be compensated.
Generations of Métis and First Nations children were stolen from their homes and forced to attend Canada's horrific residential schools, including the Île La Crosse Residential School in Saskatchewan. But despite the violence, terror, and neglect experienced, survivors have been denied the justice, recognition, and compensation they deserve. Instead of breaking the cycle of intergenerational trauma, the Liberals are fighting the survivors in court. Shameful. When will this government finally commit to justice for the Île La Crosse residential school survivors before it's too late?
The Honourable Minister for Crown Indigenous Services.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And indeed, it is a disgrace that these survivors have not been compensated up to now. Clearly, and I sat down with a number of them this summer at Batoche and had the opportunity to hear the pain that they continue to be going through, are re-triggered by a number of the settlements that we're achieving across Canada. But these survivors deserve justice. Unfortunately, the government of Saskatchewan has not acted up to this date, and it needs to be at the table with us. These were administered by the government of Saskatchewan. It needs to be held accountable. Reconciliation is not only the job of the federal government, which is to be held to account, but for all levels of government, and we need the government of Saskatchewan to stand up.
It was a shocking experience for a residential school survivor who went searching around Winnipeg for a missing loved one. That story and more coming up after the break. Welcome back. A well-known Indigenous Winnipeg writer went looking for a missing family member in the city recently. She says the experience was eye-opening, scary, and lonely. APTN's Leanne Sanders has more.
She was found in a hotel in one of these places here. And oh, jeez. They were shooting her up. She was too weak to do it herself. She was too weak to work.
Viv Ketchum says she spent days in early March pounding on doors. In most places, most Winnipeggers would not go, looking for her relative.
My hands were sore because I was physically pounding on doors. And that was actually dangerous for me because this is known to be very dangerous places, but I was determined to find her.
We aren't identifying the woman she was looking for due to privacy reasons. The woman had been reported missing to Winnipeg authorities by family who believed she'd traveled to Winnipeg by bus from Ontario. Then she stopped communicating. Ketchum said she did it for the woman's young son.
Every time we went around and stopped, he'd stay in the car with his dad and he'd put up a missing poster of his mom on the window. And then he was starting to show me video of his mom, and that really got to me. And I said, I'm gonna go into these places for him. I'm gonna do what I can because he wants his mom.
Ketchum describes the searching she did with a family member and another person she calls their muscle as eye-opening. She said she contacted Bear Clan and they put up posters, but Ketchum and her family members went out searching after Bear Clan's usual hours.
And I did talk to the police, showing pictures, and on my Facebook page, they did not come to us to any of these buildings and that. We were on our own.
The Winnipeg Police Service emailed a statement to APTN regarding the woman Ketchum was searching for. Members of the Missing Persons Unit began to investigate, and preliminary information indicated that the woman had stayed at a shelter in the city on February 24th, 2023. A bolo, be on the lookout for, was sent to the Bear Clan and Winnipeg Outreach Network. Investigators also began to conduct their usual checks. Soon after, they learned she had recently stayed at another shelter on March 1st, 2023, and appeared to be in good spirits, per staff. Ketchum is hopeful the woman has a strong support system and will continue to be okay. As for the recent measures announced to tackle the issues of missing and trafficked women, Ketchum says she's not sure if it will help. Leanne Sanders, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Vancouver proclaimed March 20th as Two-Spirit Day, and now it's an event to be celebrated across the province. APTN's Tina House has more.
March 20th is now a day for all Two-Spirit and Indigenous LGBTQIA+ to celebrate who they are with their own Awareness Day. Last year on March 20th, the City of Vancouver officially proclaimed the day. Now, the BC government has also proclaimed March 20th as Two-Spirit Day provincially. And here at the Junction Bar in Vancouver's West End, it's a packed house at an event called Tea and Bannock, where people can socialize and honor the day while recognize the importance of what it means to be Two-Spirit. Jesse Dame and Martin Morberg are with a Canadian-based research centre. They organize this event, and they say that today is historic and that they are both so proud to finally see this recognition.
So today we're hosting an event to share some of the Two-Spirit work that's been going on in the province of BC and across Turtle Island for the last year, as well as celebrate Two-Spirit folks and bring awareness to all of our allies and relatives about Two-Spirit people.
How are you feeling today, knowing that today's such a big day?
I mean, I think today it's really important to recognize and acknowledge a lot of the trailblazers that have broken trail for us to be here today. So it's just really about centering, highlighting, and elevating our Two-Spirit ancestors, our elders and knowledge keepers.
And one of those trailblazers is Harlan Pruden, a longtime Two-Spirit activist.
I think we have to have our political and elected officials acknowledge that we are a part of the community. Next year, I think that we can do better, and let's go for a federal proclamation, but ultimately, let's go for a federal holiday. dream. And my heart is singing today, as well as it has sung every day, in which that we can come together and come together out of love, out of respect, out of our sacred teachings of who we are.
Gail Pruden is also known as the Two-Spirit Cookum and is from Winnipeg. She is here to open the event with a traditional jingle dress dance and, in her words, spread some sacred medicine.
It's so important that we support all events happening with Two-Spirit in a good way. And so I brought my jingle dress and I've been dancing for close to 25 years now. And I'm doing my part by coming in with my healing dress. When you have a Two-Spirit come into your family, this is such a unique gift. Not everybody has a Two-Spirit in their family. And this is a gift from Creator. It's up to the family to nurture, raise this Two-Spirit in a good way.
Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
A big First Nations hockey tournament is returning to the Yukon after a 3-year hiatus. Here's Sarah Connors with a preview.
I'm Sarah Connors, and I'm here at the Kilrich Yukon Native Hockey Tournament in Whitehorse. This is one of the biggest Indigenous hockey tournaments in Canada, with 56 teams and over 1,000 players. But due to COVID-19 restrictions, the tournament was put on hold for the last 3 years.
Such a big deal because it's kind of like the Stanley Cup for like Native people, right? Like we don't really have many tournaments to look forward to, and especially now women's division. Like this is crazy for us. This is big. There's no other women's tournaments in the Yukon at all.
Coming soon on APTN National News, I'll tell you how the tournament is back in full force and what's new this year.
Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Ashley Apsis sent in this sunset from Wollaston, Saskatchewan, which she said caught her eye. Looks like a big fire out there. If you have a picture to share, send that photo by email to share@aptn.ca, and it might be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at Friday's weather forecast. Starting on the east coast, +4 in Halifax, 4 above with snow in Fredericton, -6 and flurries for Kuujjuaq and Nain. +4 in Montreal, cloudy and +1 in Val-d'Or. Sunny and +4 for Sault Ste. Marie, 2 and cloud in North Bay. Sunny and 5 for Thunder Bay, +6 under the sun in Sioux Lookout. 0 in God's Lake with snow, -1 and flurries for Norway House. 0 in Winnipeg, +1 for Dauphin, 2 in Brandon. -3 and cloudy in Regina, cloudy and 5 below for Saskatoon. -4 with snow in Meadow Lake, 6 below with snow in La Ronge. In northern Alberta, -6 for Fort Chip, 3 below with snow in Fort McMurray. 0 and snow in Edmonton, cloudy and +4 for Lethbridge. 9 in Vancouver, 10 for Victoria. +4 with snow in Prince George, 5 above with snow in Smithers. -3 in Old Crow, once again warmer in Whitehorse at 5. -9 in Yellowknife, 3 below in Norman Wells. -13 in Sax Harbor, 9 below in Pawlatuck. -16 with snow in Chesterfield, 17 below in Whale Cove, Arviette, and Baker Lake. -23 in Resolute, 24 below in Arctic Bay. Spring is upon us, and with that means the end of the season for many winter sports, and that includes curling. One league just wrapping up is for Indigenous curlers in the city of Winnipeg. That's this week's Sports with Stranger.
The sun may be setting outside this curling club, but inside, things are just heating up. This is the Aboriginal Curling League in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Norman Mead started the league 30 years ago.
I seen a need for an Aboriginal league, to bring our Aboriginal people, our Indigenous people together as family. And so I said, well, this is a good thing to do. Get them out on a winter evening and for one night a week and come and curl, come throw rocks. And so we try to encourage family, as you see. We try to encourage family to come out.
Now, having never curled before, I wanted to know if I had what it takes to draw in, so I practiced a bit on the side. After some practice throws, I thought it best to leave the playing to those already on the sheets. For now, anyway. Some of the younger curlers say the family environment is one of the best parts of the league.
It's a fun, kind of competitive sport, and it's unique, most people don't really know about it.
What drew you to curling?
My grandma, she used to curl in Bondsfields, and we'd go and watch her.
It's just fun to do with my family, my sister and my grandpa, just out on Monday to Wednesday, just get out of the house for a bit.
Despite playing to win, at the end of the day, all anyone cares about is having fun.
A lot of people come out in despair, come and watch, and end up getting on a team and playing, and we've certainly had some newcomers this year that have fell in love with it. And a large part of it is not only just curling, but it's being with others, right? Others in the community, and it makes you feel like home. I think for a lot of people when so many of us are away from home.
We're a big family. We all know each other, and we help each other out. I mean, from beginners to and I don't think we really have serious curlers, but we all help out and pitch in and do what we can. So it's very, very beginner oriented, and anybody can come in and join. It's a development for us, but it gets everybody together. Like I said, the kids really enjoy coming out.
The league will have a new home next year as the Thistle Curling Club is set to close down. But before that, the annual Bonspiel this weekend will end the season on a high note.
Well, Daryl and I must have a showdown now. I'm really going to miss the Thistle when it closes down. Over to Ottawa now, where Nation to Nation host Annette Francis is standing by with a look at tonight's show.
Coming up after the news, Green Party co-leader Elizabeth May wants companies that commit environmental racism against Indigenous communities to be held accountable. And a couple of well-known female advocates appeared before recent parliamentary committees. Coralie Maguire-Surrett tells the MPs about the crisis in the trafficking of Indigenous women. And Cindy Blackstock told the Health Committee Parliament has the power to make First Nations children's lives better.
If they don't do it, it's a choice and they bear the responsibility of owning that choice. But sadly, it's First Nations children, youth and families that will bear the consequences of those decisions.
That's coming up after the news.
Thanks, Annette. Looks good. APTN Investigates returns tomorrow with the third of a four-part series, Inside Corrections. APTN journalist Priscilla Wolf re-examines the story of Odelia and Narissa Cuisance, two Soto sisters who spent nearly 30 years in prison for a crime both say they didn't commit. Here's a preview.
It's been nearly 2 months since the bail hearing for Odelia and Narissa Cuisance was delayed. The sisters have returned to Yorkton, Saskatchewan in the hopes of long-awaited justice in their case.
Oh my God, sister. Oh, my sister. I'm gonna bring you some clothes. Okay, how are you doing? Guess who this is?
I believe there's going to be a positive outcome, because I know there's a lot of people in the world right now praying for me and my sister today. A lot of people that have been in my same situation have been incarcerated, and people that haven't been incarcerated. So my prayers are today for our lawyers and for me and Narissa, and that I pray that the judge has a good open heart for us today.
Their story has caught the attention of a number of supporters over the years. Prisoner advocates like Canadian Senator Kim Pate.
We need to actually move quickly to get their conviction reviews happening. They have had a long history of from residential school, child welfare involvement, abuse, and now, far too many years, more than 3 decades in prison. So it's time for us to act and get them out.
You can catch the rest of Inside Corrections, The Long Road Home, tomorrow night right here following the news. And catch up on the first 2 episodes and much more over on our website, aptnnews.ca. That is all the time we have for this Thursday, but stick around. Nation to Nation's up next. I'm Dennis Ward. Have a great night. See you back here tomorrow.